Hello and welcome to this interesting webinar on mastering the art of client engagement. Friends, one of the best ways to increase business is by increasing wallet share from existing clients. However, to command better wallet share, you will have to strengthen your relationship with them by engaging with them very actively. To give us some smart tips to master the art of client engagement today, we have invited Amit Shah, founder and CEO of Wylth, a software solution provider for MFDs. Amit has over 15 years of experience in financial services industry. His insights on the wealth and asset management have been featured in prominent business dailies in India and across Asia. So interestingly, in the past, Amit was also a wealth manager with IIFL Wealth. So for his accomplishment, Amit received NRI of the Year award and the Udyog Ratan award. So let's welcome him. Good evening, Amit, and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Nishant, and thank you all for joining the show. It's always fun to be on your show, Nishant.
Great, great, great. So I'll start this webinar by asking you one question which is on everyone's mind today. So many MFDs, as you know, that they do not have proper plan to increase client engagement. So in such a scenario, how can they set up a plan to retain their existing clients?
Very good question. See, a structured client engagement plan starts with defining absolutely clear objectives. Now, they can be or are your goal to improve client satisfaction or increase cross-selling or reduce churn. Once the objectives are set, MFDs should do following thing. First, they should segment their clients. What it means is they should classify their clients by various factors like risk profile, investment goals, or life stages. The second piece they should take care of is create an engagement calendar, which means scheduling regular touch points, sending regular newsletters and information to their clients, making regular calls, doing regular portfolio reviews, and wishing them on certain personal milestones. Third thing is, obviously the leveraging of technology, please, which means that, they should have an integrated CRM, or client relationship management tool, which can automate a lot of their work to ensure that consistency is maintained. And last but not the least, gather feedback. I think we all lack in doing this. This is the most powerful tool which we are also using in our business, where we seek feedback because no one is perfect. So conduct short, satisfaction surveys or ask open-ended questions, during the process review to understand their evolving needs. Now, when this plan is documented and executed consistently, it clearly helps to build trust and loyalty, which thereby helps them to retain their existing clients over a very long periods of time. This also helps them to build their brand, which gives them a lot of leads and references from their existing customers. So consistency is most important.
So do you mean feedback form, something like that, or how it can be? It is through
See,
online.
feedback form is basically now an old system of taking feedback, and it's very mundane and no one does it, right? So
Right.
just to give you an example, we have an integrated chatbot in our platform
Right.
where at the end of it, there is a feedback option where a customer can rate the MFD from, let's say, 1 star to 5 stars. And if it is lower, then they give the reason and so on and so forth, right? Like, in Wylth, when we onboard any mutual fund distributor, we create a separate WhatsApp group with them, and we seek a lot of feedback because we also believe we are not perfect, right? We are also evolving, we are also learning, and those constructive feedbacks actually has seen Wylth transformed over the last, I would say, 18 months since the time we have launched. And thanks to the community, we have learned a lot, and we have been able to improve our platform a lot according to that. So it's my personal experience, of taking constructive feedbacks. And other thing is, most of us become defensive, and it's a human trait when someone complains. For me, the way I look at it is I always ask my clients that if I've done something good, you don't need to appreciate me. But if I've done something bad, please write it so that I get to know. Because sometimes, or none of us do anything wrong knowingly. We all do it unknowingly, right? So if someone reflects that, then it gives a huge positive impact between our relationship, and that goes very, very long way.
Okay. So Amit, what are some activities that MFDs can do to increase their engagement with clients?
Sure. Um, I'll mention a couple of them, which I have been doing it while we were building, my previous business. The first and the foremost is, doing educational webinars or seminars, something like what we are doing it now, right? Which is hosting a session on either market trends or tax, like if budget is there, then on tax perspective or retirement planning, which is key to most of the investors. Having one of the fund managers or a senior person from AMC to come and talk about their views about the market, so on and so forth. The more informed the customer is, the better call they would take on their investments, and the more they will relate with the MFD. Now, all these points which I'm mentioning, one needs to be clear that they don't need to be done in the traditional way, which is more physical way. It has to be done more in a phygital way, which is digital and some part in physical. Second, and the important thing, which even covers the first question you had asked, is sending newsletters and email updates. Now, this is a very powerful tool. We all believe that कोई मेल खुलता नहीं है तो क्यों भेजने का, but we don't know that if something goes consistently in your mailbox on a specific day, that creates a massive impression. So decide whether you want to send monthly or a quarterly update highlighting relevant financial news, products, launches, or whatever you want to share with your customer. The third thing is personalized check-ins, and that too in this kind of market scenario. See, in a rising market, if you don't make calls to your customer, that's absolutely fine. But in these kind of volatile markets, when they actually are, especially new customers who have not seen the ups and now they are seeing, loss in profit, but the new customers are actually seeing genuine loss, right? Because they've not made that money earlier with you. So personal check-ins, a quick phone call in volatile market, or wishing client a birthday, or sending it through your platform. Those things go long way. And the last thing is workshop on goal planning. You would have seen a lot of new businesses which have sprung up whose focus is only on goal planning, and SIP is a part of goal planning. So invite clients to set or do these kind of financial workshops. Now at Wylth, what we have done is we have given a Zoom connection along with our subscription. So in today's world, post COVID, everyone is comfortable doing a Zoom rather than doing a one-on-one meeting, right, in person. So through that, the productivity of like what we are doing today, right? We have almost 200 signups, and hopefully 150 people will join in. So in one go, in 1 hour, I'm sitting in Singapore, you are sitting in Bombay, and others are scattered. We are able to address them in a decent way. So frequent, meaningful interactions, reinforcing your role as a trusted advisor rather than just a transaction facilitator. This is something which at the back of the mind, all of us should have it, that it has to be frequent, it has to be meaningful, and it has to be consistent.
Got it. Great idea, Amit. So, Amit, my next question is that you see that today the expectation of investors has gone up. So they want everything at their fingertips. So how can an MFD match their expectation in terms of tech support and services and give services to today's clients?
Sure. I think it's quite interesting that in India, specifically, the digital adoption has happened in the elderly generation more, than the younger generation in that sense, because they spend more time on phone, either on WhatsApp, playing games or whatever, right? So that translates into the investment also, right? They want everything on the go in that sense. And most of our customers or mutual fund distributors customers are in the age profile of, I would say, 35 years to 55 years, of age. So I think the first thing I would mention is one should have a very responsive digital platform, right? Which ensures that, you have your own website, your own mobile app, if possible, because that creates a massive brand for yourself, right? Which is user-friendly, which is secure, very important, right, in today's context, and provides real-time portfolio updates to the customer, that when he or she logs in, they can, at a click of a button, see what their value is and how the portfolio is working. The second thing is, on-demand support. Now, if you see our mutual fund distribution community, those guys are phenomenal community people, so they pick up the customer's phone 24/7. But there is a limitation also to that, because we all have 24 hours of working cycle, right? So that's why it's very, very important to have a digital tool, to ensure that the online demand or on-demand support is attained. So to have something like a chatbot or a WhatsApp related chatbot through which a customer can interact, raise their concern, and which gets filed with a distributor, irrespective whether he's in meeting, he's sleeping, or whatever he or she is doing, right? The third thing is, self-service tools. Now, typically, if you look at it, though we believe that our clients may not be that tech savvy, but clients like to, do things by themselves, and they enjoy exploring things. So, I would suggest let the client run their own reports, check NAVs, or initiate transaction online. Now, there are two advantages of that. One is your time gets freed up, which you can use for doing or building relationship, or acquiring more customers. And second thing is the customer feels more empowered, right? That today, if I decide, I can do it myself. Now, it's something which in their subconscious has a huge bearing, right? The last thing is, you need to have a secure data sharing mechanism. So, use encrypted communication channels rather than just a plain vanilla WhatsApp. Use a chatbot kind of thing. So it's fully secured and regulated in that sense. So we have one of the two options. If you're a larger mutual fund distributor and if you can afford, you should invest in these technologies and build something of your own, which is monitored by yourself. And if you are not that large a mutual fund distributor, you can still come to platforms like ours who have all these features integrated, so that and white label, so that as mutual fund distributor, you can show that you respect the client's time and deliver a seamless experience which is aligned with the modern consumer experience or expectation.
Great, great. So, Amit, what are some digital tools that MFDs can explore to increase client engagement?
Sure. The good part now is, as we have evolved over the last 10 years, these digital tools have become very, very inexpensive, right? So first and foremost is the CRM system, right? Which we all keep on talking about. All the big banks talk about that they have great CRM, so on and so forth. What it basically does, it sits at the back of your, tech stack, and it helps to segment, your client base, to automate reminders, to track interactions, to communicate with the customer in an automated way where the customer feels it's a personalized, interaction, so on and so forth. The second thing is your email marketing platforms, right? So like we have, partnered with MailChimp. So if you have a MailChimp account, you can integrate that with our platform and then start sending, your marketing emails to your customer. You can set the periodicity at which you want to send it. You can customize that mail, but it goes as one-on-one. So it doesn't go in the customer spam box, right? Which is most important, because today through your normal Gmail or whatever, if you send more than 10, emails at the same time, it automatically, marks it as spam and it never gets delivered to the customer. Right. So for targeted newsletters or what I mentioned earlier, this is something which one can use in an automated way where you can track how many of your customers have looked at that email, not looked at that email, so on and so forth. Then the next one is video conferencing tools. Now, this is very, very important. Now, if you look at it today, if you want to get a professional license of Zoom, it's going to cost you $100+, right? So it's almost $8,000-9,000, right? So, but that gives you an advantage that you can host a bigger meeting, like something like this, what we are doing today. I can have up to 500 people logging in and here, on this. So rather than one running around and meeting those people, organizing these kind of, stuff with your brand around and you speaking and getting one more speaker, that makes amazing sense, right? Last thing is the analytical and reporting tools, that can generate customized report on portfolio performance, give a nice visualization of how, the client's goal is progressing, what kind of targets are coming in, so on and so forth. So basically, the key here is to use the right mix of tools that can drastically reduce your admin time, right? Today, most of the mutual fund distributor spends 50% of the time in admin, which according to me, 90% of that can be digitized and can be done by the platform, right? So you can have those 40% of the time spent in either building the relationship or expanding your client set, right? And focus more on the value added advisory rather than the routine and mundane stuff, of getting the client statement from one place and giving it back to the client.
Okay. So before I move on to the next question, I request all the attendees to post their question in the Q&A box so that we can address their queries as well. So Amit, moving on to my next question. One of the best way to engage with client is through review meetings, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, apart from investment portfolio, what are the things that MFDs can discuss with clients during these review meetings?
See, my view is the way I have worked always in my life, and I've seen private banks work in their life, right? And now I've been serviced by a lot of private bankers also. Typically, out of your 1 hour of conversation, not more than 10 to 15% of your time, should go in portfolio review. Okay. The reason I'm saying that is because the client himself can or herself can also see that portfolio and the review and stuff, right? I think the first and the foremost which clients love today, irrespective of the strata in which they belong to, is life events and goals, right? That has there been any change to the client's personal situation? Let's say the client has got a granddaughter or a grandson or a newborn or whatever it is, right? Or his job has changed or his upcoming retirement. Now, these are the things which would be playing in the client's mind, right? So we should hit the chord where what the client is thinking about, right? And we would know that because we know what's happening in client's life. So that's something which I always personally, when I go and talk to anyone whom I know, this is where I start my conversation with, because it's a very good icebreaker in that sense, right? The second thing which everyone is concerned and interested about is insurance and risk management. Though in our country, we say that everyone has lots of insurance, this and that, but the fact of the matter still remains that India, by and large, is underinsured. None of us take term plans, right? So explaining the benefits of insurance, especially the term plan, to a young father who has aspiration of sending their children, higher education, so on and so forth. It's a very interesting conversation, right? You're not selling a product. You are just highlighting the fact that, hey, there is this risk which exists and there is something which is available to mitigate that risk, right? Third thing is tax strategies. None of us would like to pay taxes, right? We would like to pay the least amount of taxes which we are supposed to pay. So that's another very interesting, conversation where, as an MFT, if you can help to optimize, the tax structure for the client in a legit fashion, then that's something which can be a very interesting conversation. Then estate planning, right? Which means inheritance and will and everything else. Now, all these things, if you look at it, you are not selling any product to the customer. You are engaging with the customer. But the end result is if the customer buys that thought process, there is going to be a sell which is going to happen, right? At the end of it, which you can then do it as a cross sell from a product perspective. So, and the last and obviously the important thing is financial education, because more financially the client is educated, the less he would get jittery in this kind of market volatility, because they know that over a period of long time, it's going to be the valuation will tend towards the growth, and that's where the money is going to be made, right? So essentially a holistic financial discussion which can enhance client trust by showing that you care about their overall well-being. You just don't care about getting that check for a mutual fund investment, right? So that is something which is very, very important. And the interesting thing is, the real life and the real life, as we call it, right? That the perception is always bigger than the reality. So to create that perception by our action is extremely important. And once someone does that, I'm sure the engagement is going to be of a very different level.
Okay, so Amit, do you recommend talking about non-finance topic as well during these meetings?
100%. So I always start the biggest icebreaker for me always is to talk about their children and how are they doing, right?
Mm.
Because for every parent, their
Mm.
children is their life and
Yeah,
their whole thing, right? And if
yeah.
there is a way we can help them, and the best way you can help them is try and educate them when they are young, the financial discipline and all those stuff. So that would be the first kind of talking point which I always use. And apart from anything else, that gives you a nice, because then the person opens up really, When you start talking about the children, I talk about my children, I understand their children things and what they can do and so on and so forth. So first 10-15 minutes, once you have that conversation, then your entire discussion will be on a very different tangent.
Okay, great, great.
You guys should try it. It works.
Great, great. So, Amit, as you know that MFDs have a lot of client data, but how can MFDs use this data analytics to give actionable insights on clients' behavior? How can they?
Sure. Till now, there were not much of tools from a data analysis perspective, and they were very expensive. But now, I think with the advancement, you've got a lot of tools which have come in, and we are also trying to use some of those tools, though we are not still perfected that, but we intend in next 12 months to have it. So the first thing is transaction patterns. Right. Now, the good part is from a data perspective, let's say if you're an MFD for last 10 years, servicing a customer for last 10 years, in my system, I can visualize and see the last 10 years of transaction flow of their customer, which means that a pattern can be easily established that, hey, this customer every Diwali time needs so much of money and he redeems so much of money. Or at every, let's say February, March, he gets a lot of subscription done, right? Which means he's having some higher turnover or something like that, right? So you exactly know what to catch, when to catch. Right, about that. So transaction pattern analysis is extremely important. So the second thing is product preference. Now, through transaction analysis, you would figure out that this customer over his life cycle has only invested into certain products. So which means that if you go and start talking about something else, it's like I understand English. You start coming and talking to me in gibberish, I won't understand anything, right? Though that may be a great thing, but it's not meant for me, right? So, product preference is the second thing. Third thing is the life cycle analysis, which means that the predicts the life events or financial needs based on the age and transaction history, right? Offering proactive solutions, like if customer is going for redemption, you give him an option, sir, why don't you take a loan, if it's a temporary requirement, so on and so forth, right? And the last is obviously the personalized communication, which means, we need to segment the communication so that the client receives only the content most relevant to their profiles. And that's what we have done is in our platform also, in our marketing campaign product, we have segmented, or you can segment multiple, profiles or persona of the clients and put those email IDs only which fits those personas. So when you are sending, let's say there are investors who are interested only in mid cap or small cap stocks, and there are investors who don't invest in mid and small at all. So rather than sending a mid cap, small cap NFO to everyone, you only send to that segment which is relevant, right? So when I receive, let's say, anything random, I would never go and open your email. But when I know that I receive only relevant stuff which interests me, then my audience to you, the proportionate goes quite phenomenal. So with data analytics, I think MFDs can definitely move, from reactive to proactive. Currently, we are all reactive engagement, right? Customer ने redemption मांगा तो हम दौड़ा भाई करते हैं, हमारे ऐसा ना redeem, हम loan कराए. Reactive to proactive engagement. That significantly improves the client satisfaction. You preempt what a client would want at a particular point in time, right? And that data helps you to do that. And then, you try and provide that.
Okay. So, Amit, how often should an MFD engage with clients, and what is the best way to engage with them, digitally or physical?
I would say, obviously one would qualify and classify this based on the size and the profitability, of the client. But I think as a thumb rule, at least a quarterly, for performance updates, but more frequently monthly or even let's say weekly, with a brief digital touch points or newsletter, is kind of ideal in that sense. The mode of engagement, which was the second part of the question, I believe a hybrid model works the best because most of the MFDs, I think what I've seen is per person in their team, they service around 100 to 150 customers, right? So any math you do, it is practically impossible to meet everyone, right? So that's why a phygital approach is much better, which means that at least physically you try and meet everyone once in a quarter. But through digital, try and have an interaction, preferably, let's say once in a month, if not more, and that's why striking the right balance also ensures, clients feel supported, informed, and feels that, he is an integral part of your community, and he's just not one name from whom the investment comes in. And that's what differentiates one MFD versus the other MFD.
So Amit, let's take some audience questions. So we have a couple of questions. So one is related to the discount and cost of the platform.
Yeah. So essentially, okay, I'll start with the difficult thing first. We don't offer discounts. Okay. And the reason we don't offer discounts is because our pricing is such. So from a comprehensive digital executing platform to a full-fledged CRM, the entire thing is embedded into one platform which we offer. And our pricing is 10,000 rupees plus GST, right? We offer two other additional options. First option is if you want your white label app. Currently, iOS is creating issues. They are not kind of giving P2B2C white label app, but Google is okay. So on Google Play Store, we charge 7,500 per year for white label app if you want. If you don't want white label app, a normal app for you and your customer both are available for free in our 10,000 rupees package. The other value add which I suggest everyone should buy is the chatbot. And that's what I was saying earlier also, that your entire operational work can be handled by the chatbot, right? For that, we have tied up with Gupshup, who has, I think, a massive market share. If I'm not mistaken, they have 90% plus market share in whole of India. So the chatbot does two things for you. First is it builds your massive brand. Because today, if you look at it, only big institutions, big banks, big insurance companies have a chatbot through which you can interact and get your statements and so on and so forth. Whereas here, it will be your brand, your whitelisted Facebook account, number will go and with your blue tick and everything. So customer gets that massive confidence on you, that, hey, I'm sending a WhatsApp to, let's say, a Kotak Bank and getting a statement. And I am sending a WhatsApp to, let's say, Nishant as an MFD and getting a statement, right? So your level becomes like of that level. And that's where the respect would come in, right? So that's another thing where we charge 10,000 rupees per year. Again, that's most of that cost goes to the service provider, who manages the platform.
Great. So Khyati wants to understand how can she do review.
Portfolio review can be done in two ways. One is already existing in our platform, where at a family level, we can, or you can take out a portfolio analytics report where a customer's, allocation, asset class wise, category, subcategory, scheme, fund manager, to an extent security wise, which means, let's say, if in a family you're holding 50 mutual funds, and what is your exact exposure to HDFC Bank, to that level, granular level, it is done. The second thing which we are now building is it will give you a tool on your calendar itself, on our platform, where you can set up the review process. It's going to be a very small kind of snippet kind of thing, which will have all the key factors of the customers. What is his return? What is his investment? What is his SIP? And then it will have a text box where you can write. We would have a pre-filled thing, but you can change it. And at a click of a button, you can send it to the customer. So this is a very powerful tool because, as a customer, you would feel that, hey, this guy is personalizing something for me. And it's just a small WhatsApp kind of, messaging, which can be sent out to the customer, which gives a brief of how the portfolio is performing.
Okay. So Khyati also wants to understand what can be pitch if some MFD has doctor, maybe client, doctor background. I think she's talking about clients.
See, I think so. What I understand is if your customer is a doctor by profession, right? So basically, if you look at it, doctors by profession, let's look at their cash flow. Now, there are two parts of it. One is doctors who are working in a hospital, which means they have a fixed salary. The second category is doctors, who are practicing doctors, right? So in that sense, depending on the profession, and once you know their cash flow system, one would have quite lumpy cash flow, the other would have a regular cash flow. By design and definition, most of the doctors are not financially savvy and thereby very, very risk averse, right? Because in their field, they are dealing with some crazy things, right? So their risk averseness is quite low. My understanding is, what I believe is not going into too risky kind of stuff, because the risk profile, even if you do it, would come to quite moderate to low risk kind of stuff. So right asset allocation based on the age and profile of the doctor, but on the lower side of the risk. Something like an SIP is an easy sell, because especially for guys who are working, the salaried doctors, because they are the guys who are more methodical than others, so they want to plan well in advance for their future and stuff. So SIP can be an absolute easy sell in that sense, whether for their kids' education or for their retirement.
Okay.
But
So
it depends upon each profile. So sorry, I can't, because ours is not like a one jacket fits all kind of thing, right? So
right. So Venkateshwaran wants to understand whether the chat GPT, whether the chat bot offered by you can be integrated to his website, or it will be working on Wylth only.
No, so we can work that out, but basically the chatbot goes through our platform. So if anyone has their own website, they need to have our platform running at the back of it, right? And this chatbot comes with that platform, because the data and everything is pulled out from that platform. So we can work that out. If you have your own, what I believe, when you say you have a website, it means you have your own domain and everything else. We can have a chatbot. If you have taken our subscription, we can design it in a way that can work with your existing website. You don't need to compromise on that.
Okay. So Rajiv Kamath wants to understand whether CRM is approved by SEBI.
One, I see. Okay, from a technology player perspective, right? We guys don't come under the SEBI, embed, because we are not soliciting any business or anything. Any form of CRM, if you look at it, it is basically a digital reporting tool. And in that sense, you are not technically, marketing or doing anything else. So whatever you as a mutual fund distributor are allowed to do it is all what the CRM in your name would do it, right?
So there are people who wants for contact number of your salesperson, who wants to get demo. And does Will take any commission, part of commission?
No.
Raj, tell me.
So we don't have our own code.
Hmm.
Our pricing model is not based on your AUM, is not based on your number of RMs. The other interesting thing which we have is you can run a broker sub-broker model, you can run an RM model, everything you can run under our platform. We currently have 3 levels of hierarchy. So you have L1, which can be yourself, and then you have L2, which can be senior RMs, and you can have L3, which can be sub-brokers. You can assign the commission numbers in our platform, and those gets automatically calculated. So you can have a brokerage receivable and payable. We are the first ones who have a brokerage reconciliation module also, which means that if you can feed your brokerage, which you are supposed to receive from AMC in a correct format, then my platform will calculate that what you have received and what you are supposed to receive, whether that tallies, and it gives you a nice reconciliation statement also for the same.
Okay. So Venkatwaran wants to understand, so what is Wylth offering? Collection of client financial data for analyzing and suggesting a portfolio of fund, and proposal creation based on the inputs provided by the clients with the list of.
Yeah. So these are the things which we do. Okay. So what I understand is, or let me answer the third thing first. So the way our model portfolio is structured is, at the back end, you can, based on each risk profile, you can set up a particular combination of recommended investments, right? And then whatever that customer is, based on that risk profile, automatically a proposal can go to them. Second thing is, you have an option of uploading the cash statement on our platform, which would compare your recommended portfolio performance versus the customer's existing portfolio performance. So that helps you, probably, in case if that performance is not good, to push that customer, towards you.
Mm.
Besides that, we don't take any other information of the customer. We are not supposed to have their Aadhaar cards and all those stuff stored into it. That's regulatory also, not required. So this is what we have today. Where we are moving towards in the next 6 to 12 months is, using data science, AI and ML, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning. We intend to be more proactive rather than reactive, for you. So as I said, we are going to implement tools which will help you to analyze your customers' data and throw, on a proactive basis, certain traits of the customer, which then you can, which can help you to go and, enhance your relationship with your customers.
Okay, so Vikas wants to understand whether clients will be allowed to do transaction.
Yes. But you have that choice. So basically, we have put one switch in our platform which you control, where customers can, or you have to authorize us to off that switch, through which the customer would not be able to redeem their investments, which are done through you. Otherwise, they can do all the transactions. You have on your dashboard all the controls, and you can decide what and how much you want to give it to your customers, right? You say, I don't want any transactions, I just want viewing rights. Within your team also, you can decide who sees what, to what level, things like that. So it's a very kind of, efficiently built system.
Okay, so Rajiv wants to understand whether he can raise GST bills through your platform.
Not at this point in time, but we are going to build that.
Okay, Hemant wants to understand whether he can send SIP reminders through WhatsApp to their clients through your.
Not through, yeah, so not through WhatsApp, through messages. It's already there. So birthday reminders, SIP reminders, and now we, as I said, we are starting with portfolio reviews. Those things can be sent across as reminders.
Okay, so Rajiv wants to understand Data Protection Act. So how will you comply with data protection?
Very good question. So currently we are hosted 100% on Microsoft Azure in India, right? Plus we have, apart from the Microsoft Azure's security levels, we also have another firewall, to protect the overall data. From our perspective, the way we function internally is, just to give an example in a layman, we have a tunnel which we have built where our employees can pass through that tunnel and see the data, but cannot take the data out. So it's a one-way street, right? The only way we can take the data out is if you approve. Let's say you need some analysis and you need that data for yourself, then you have to give in writing an approval to us that please take out this data and give it to me. Based on that written approval is when we can access the data and send it across to you. We are absolutely strict on that. We are ISO certified company. That gives an extra level of comfort to you guys. Plus, we are the only company in the country today, who is Singapore FinTech Association certified also, right? So we are the only Indian FinTech today in this space who is both ISO certified and SFA certified.
Okay, so whether you provide goal mapping and tracking.
Yes, we do. We have goal tracking. Also, we have one another interesting feature which no other platform has. See, goal tracking, whatever others do is quite mundane. So let's take an example. You tell someone, sir, you do 10,000 rupees of SIP, you do it for 15 years. After 15 years, you would get, let's say 30-40 lakh rupees, of total value. And you have assumed a 13% or 12% IRR to achieve that. Now, let's say fast forward, you start today, fast forward 8 years, 9 years have passed, right? And for the first 9 years, your returns was only 7 or 8%, right? Not 12%. So you are far, far lagging behind the goal, right? So what our platform does is at whatever point you are in, from that point to the end point, right? It will try and tell you that what is your projected return you should earn to meet your requirement, okay, of whatever your end goal is, right? So that's another interesting aspect, which we have built. Again, a reactive point, not a proactive point and not a reactive point. I think we are the only player today who provides that information. And we can link, you can link your investment to your goal also. So let's say I invested 1 lakh rupees in HDFC equity fund, out of which 50,000 is for a specific goal. You can link that and your portfolio will show that this part is linked to this goal.
Okay, so Chandramohan wants to understand how Wylth can help MFDs in digital marketing and lead generation.
Two ways. We have a lead management tool. So not lead generation. Lead generation is easy. Lead management is very difficult. So we have a lead management tool where whatever leads you generate, whether it's organic or it's inorganic, which means whether it has been referred by your customer or you have just got a database, you can input that lead in our platform with all the details and stuff. And whoever is working on it can put their comment. So you can actually see the life cycle of the lead, which today it's impossible. You are doing it in Excel. It's impossible to see the life cycle. And the worst thing there is, if you have an employee who is working for you or a sub-broker working for you, tomorrow if he or she decides to leave, then you are stranded because everything is with him or her, right? So here everything remains in your system. Anyone who leaves, the new person can just look at that lead management tool and see what has happened with that customer. And when you talk to that customer, you can refer to those things, right? So it becomes a very impressive thing. And as a head of your business, you can actually see what's happening to all the leads, who is working, who is not working, so on and so forth, right? So that's a lead management. On the lead generation side, as I mentioned, we have a marketing campaign tool which is inbuilt, where we have where we have linked with Mailchimp. So if you have a Mailchimp account, then you can send all those marketing flyers and stuff via email, to them. Now, these are the easiest, cheapest, and like lead management is for free because it comes as a part of this thing. And MailChimp is also like very, very inexpensive subscription through which you can send thousands of emails out as a one-on-one email. Plus, we have kept a tracker also within it. So the reason why it helps is that when you're calling up a customer, you know that that customer has whether seen your email or not seen your email, so your pitch can be accordingly.
Since we have only a few minutes left, so I'll ask you a few questions, Amit. So how can
Mhm.
Wylth help in enhancing client engagement?
Very good question. I would have loved to answer this as the first question because this is my favorite question. So Wylth is designed to simplify, many of the hurdles which mutual fund distributor faces in a day-to-day client interaction. Very simple answer, right? Now, how do we do that? We do that through following way. First is by offering a very comprehensive digital platform, right? Which helps you to consolidate clients' portfolio and generate easy to understand reports, right? Second thing is we have automated most parts of the communications. So whether you want to schedule reminders, you want to send notifications, you want to streamline any of your flow, so on and so forth. Third thing is we have a fantastic analytics and insights, tools within our thing, which helps you to gain 360-degree view of your client's portfolio, and thereby help you to engage with the customer. And the last thing is the comprehensive CRM, which covers, as I mentioned earlier, lead management. One thing I didn't mention earlier was service ticketing. Extremely important tool, right? Today, when your customer calls you for a complaint or anything, you are writing in a piece of paper, 10 complaints given, 9 fulfilled, one you forget, right? And then the customer is going to hound you after 6 months for that. In service ticketing, the customer through their mobile can lodge a complaint or issue or feedback rather than calling you, right? So one, saving of time. Second is in an audited format, you get to know on a timestamp basis that what time I got this particular service request and who worked on it, what time it got resolved, so on and so forth, right? So Wylth allows mutual fund distributors to spend less time on manual tasks. Why you want to do that? And more time on strategic decision discussions with your set of clients and help you to expand your business. Yes, there are certain features which we don't have, which you guys might be used to it with other platforms which have been there for 20 years. But the beauty with Wylth is that we are open-minded in the sense you give us a feedback, you give us a suggestion, we would do that. And depending upon, the severity, importance, and relevance to our entire core group of mutual fund distributors, we would ensure that it happens between 1 month and 6 months time. So we'll listen to everyone.
Great. And what is unique about Wylth, and how can MFD associate with Wylth?
Sure. So, one of the most unique thing which we have is we are the only ones who have an integrated or a unified ecosystem, right? Where unlike a standalone tool, like today, if an MFD, if you talk to, they have one, execution and reporting tool. Then they have one CRM. Then they have one lead management tool, right? Then they have one communication tool. They don't talk to each other, right? They're all disengaged, right? So we are the only ones today that, unlike any standalone tools, Wylth brings prospecting, onboarding, transacting, client communication, and reporting under one roof. right? That's the first advantage which we have. The second is it's a very user-friendly interface, right? So it's been built to be very intuitive for both MFDs as well as clients, trying to reduce broadly the learning curve, right? And third thing is we try to provide scalable solutions, which are suitable both for small practices as well as the large advisory firms. Like to give an example, our pricing is such that we are offering all this stuff at 10,000 rupees, a year. So our vision is that for all the mutual fund distributors, an unfortunate part in India that there are only 25,000 mutual fund distributors who have more than 5 crore of AUM. It's a pity, right? 1 lakh or rather 2 lakh plus mutual fund distributor less than 5 lakh, why 5 crores of AUM? Why? Because they don't have a high quality tech platform, because certain decent platforms are very expensive. So we wanted to bring in best in class platform in India at a very inexpensive price, which even a small guy can have. Because for everyone who is even managing 1,000 crores, you would have started with 1 crore on day one, right? So we want to help today guys who are struggling with their AUM to grow in that journey and become a 200, 500,000 crore MFD. So MFD can associate with Wylth just by subscribing, to our platform services. The onboarding process is absolute straightforward. My sales team is very, very proactive. They work kind of, I would say, 24/7, and we have a dedicated support who is available, to ensure a smooth transition. And as I mentioned earlier, whenever a mutual fund distributor gets onboarded with us, we create a separate WhatsApp group, and in all those WhatsApp group, I am also there. So today we have almost 700 mutual fund distributors, and I am part of all those 700 groups, which means anyone who puts a message in within half an hour to 1 hour, they get a response. And if it's critical, they get a resolution the same day. No one else on the street does that.
Great, great, great. So one last question, Amit. If you were an MFD, what are the two things that you will do to retain clients for life?
Nishant, I've always been a relationship person for the last 27 years. And I've just used these two or three things, which all my life. So first and the foremost thing is to be proactive, to have a proactive personalization. What I mean by that is I would segment my client base and tailor-made, different products and engagement, sending relevant insights and market updates, or if they're in a different life stage of the cycle, then any specific stuff regarding that. So that's which I've been telling earlier also. It's extremely important. The second thing is, and most important thing is, to be consistent in communication. Okay, consistency in communication builds brand, and brand gets you business. Nothing else gives you business, right? So set up a clear engagement calendar with scheduled calls, with regular check-ins and timely follow-ups to ensure that every client feels valued and informed. See, the beauty in our business is the product you are selling, right, doesn't carry your risk, right? So to give an example, if let's say, we have Amit Shah is an MFD who is a 1 crore MFD starting business today. And let's say if you have a Julius Baer as a bank who has been there for ages, massive brand, whatever. Customer buying an HDFC equity fund from Amit Shah or from Julius Baer is going to get exact same returns, right? So guys, why our AUM should be lower? Because your engagement with the customer is much higher. You know the customer much better than any bank, because in a bank, the RM gets changed every year or like yesterday only I was reading an article, the employee turnover ratio in priority banks is massive, right? So in that sense, there is no reason to lose that business to these guys, right? When there is no risk on you from a client perspective. So these two measures, which is personalization and consistency, more so on consistency side, can make a significant difference in establishing trust and long-term loyalty with your customers. These are two mantras which I've always lived with, on my life. Even in Wylth also, we are following, the same thing. Consistently be responsive to the customer. I am the first one to admit the mistake. I am the first one, even today on this platform, I say we are not perfect. We make mistakes. We are human beings, but we acknowledge that, we rectify that, we stay with you. Same way what mutual fund distributor also does. Like 2 महीने पहले किसी का small cap, mid cap में investment कराया होगा, it's down 20%. Yes, it's down, right? It was not a mistake. You have invested that for next 5, 10, 15 years. It's going to give you returns, right? But what is important is to handhold that customer. And if it comes from you as an owner, like in my company, it comes from me as an owner. So any complaint raised, if it is not answered, I myself sit and answer that, right? So that is something which is important. Customer will forgive you for everything, they'll not forgive you for not responding when he wanted you to be there, period.
Great, great, great. So, all right, we have come to an end to this interesting discussion. Thank you so much, Amit, for that insightful discussion.
Thanks a lot, Nishant. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining this. And we are always available. Feel free to call us up, and happy to engage anytime. Thank you
Great.
so much.
And finally, I thank each one of you for being such a wonderful audience and for your time and support. Wish you a good day, guys. Bye.